There was a weaver who had never made an error in her work. For 20 years, she had sat at her loom in a small workshop beside the river, creating cloth that people called perfect. Every thread aligned precisely. Every pattern matched exactly. Every piece she made was flawless, so uniform, so exact, that people said her hands were guided by something beyond human skill. Nobles bought her cloth for their finest garments. Temples purchased it for ceremonial banners. Her work hung in places of honor, admired by all who saw it. She took pride in this perfection. Each morning, before beginning, she would say to herself, "No mistakes. Not today. Not ever." And there never were. One autumn, a wealthy merchant commissioned her largest work yet, a tapestry to hang in his great hall. It would take months to complete. The design was intricate, a forest scene with 1,000 details, trees and birds and a winding stream. She began with her usual care. Days passed, then weeks. The tapestry grew slowly, each thread placed with absolute precision. Then, one afternoon, fatigue caught her. She had been working since dawn, and her eyes were tired. She reached for the green thread for a leaf but grabbed blue instead. Her fingers moved automatically, weaving the wrong color into the pattern. She didn't notice until an hour later. When she saw it, that single blue thread where green should be, her heart stopped. There, in the middle of her perfect forest, a leaf shone blue like a piece of sky had fallen into the trees. Her first thought was to cut it out, unweave the entire section, start again. She reached for her cutting blade, but something made her pause. The day was ending. She was exhausted. "Tomorrow," she told herself. "I'll fix it tomorrow when my hands are steady." That night, she couldn't sleep. The mistake haunted her. 20 years of perfection, ruined by one moment of carelessness. When dawn came, she returned to her loom, blade in hand, ready to cut out the error. But in the morning light, something strange happened. The blue leaf caught the sunlight differently than the green ones. It drew the eye. It made the whole forest seem somehow more alive, more real, as if a breeze had turned one leaf to show its underside, or as if magic existed in that painted world. She stared at it for a long time. Then, carefully, she set down the blade and picked up a shuttle. She kept weaving, leaving the blue leaf exactly where it was. As the tapestry grew, she found herself doing something she had never done before. She added small, intentional variations. A thread slightly thicker here, a color just barely different there. Nothing obvious. Nothing that broke the pattern, but enough to make the work feel less like a machine had made it and more like human hands had touched it with love. When the tapestry was finished, she felt afraid. Would the merchant reject it? Would he see the blue leaf and demand his money back? The day came for delivery. The merchant's servants hung the tapestry in the great hall. The merchant stood back to view it, and the weaver held her breath. He was silent for a long moment. "There," he said finally, pointing. "That blue leaf. That's the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen. How did you know to do that? It makes the whole piece come alive." The weaver opened her mouth to explain it was a mistake, but something stopped her. "It felt right," she said instead. The merchant smiled. "I've seen your work before. It's always been perfect. But this is different. This has soul." Word spread about the tapestry with the blue leaf. People came to see it. Other weavers asked her how she achieved such lifelike quality. Commissions flooded in, but now, people didn't ask for perfection. They asked for work like the forest tapestry. Work with soul. Work that felt human. The weaver continued her craft, but she was different now. She no longer started each day vowing to make no mistakes. Instead, she would sit at her loom and whisper, "Let the work be honest." Sometimes her threads aligned perfectly. Sometimes they didn't. And in the places where her hands slipped or her eye tired, something unexpected and beautiful would emerge, a signature she hadn't known she possessed, a humanity that perfection had hidden. Years later, an apprentice came to study with her. "Teacher," the girl asked nervously, "what if I make a mistake?" The weaver smiled and pointed to a tapestry on the wall, the forest with its single blue leaf, faded now but still beautiful. "Then you'll have made something no one else could."